This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Other news this afternoon. Murder trial for dismissed E-crack police officers accused of killing Chimai Kunado adjourned. Suspected serial rapist to be arraigned in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt residents react as 2-month-old curfew ends today. Coalition of northern groups react to issues raised by Southern Governors Forum. And on the foreign scene, New York becomes first U.S. state to declare disaster emergency order to address rising gun violence. I am Carl Orakwue with the news. The murder trial for the 4 dismissed E-crack police officers accused of killing Chimai Kunado has been adjourned. This is after the prosecution team, on resumption of the matter, demanded an adjournment to enable them present a third witness to give evidence. The case was moved to July 23. It will also come on August 12 and 17. The 4 dismissed E-crack police officers, Ayogu Fidelis, A.K. Chibuzo, Igbunefu Felix and Rose Georgeville are standing trial before Justice Florence Fibresima for the murder of Chimai Kunado and the torture of 4 other Ikoku mechanics. Staying with court stories, a father of 4, Favor Ibama, who was paraded in March by the police for allegedly drugging, raping and robbing over 20 young ladies in Port Harcourt, is to be arraigned today. Favor Ibama is said to have lured the women through social media. Correspondent Soyibi Oruwari reports that the afternoon magistrate court is expected to entertain the matter. Recall that he was arrested after one of his victims spotted him at a popular supermarket in Port Harcourt. Favor Ibama had denied the allegations during interrogation. Moving on, some residents of Port Harcourt have been speaking on the curfew that was lifted by the Rivers State government. Following the announcement by Governor Nyesom Wike in a state broadcast yesterday, some Port Harcourt residents took to social media to express joy using various memes. Others hoped for the lifting of the curfew to improve the traffic situation in the state. As you may know, the 2-month-old curfew will be lifted today. Governor Wike had said the decision followed improved security in the state and in neighboring states. He also said that the state government acknowledges the negative impact of the curfew on businesses and the socio-economic well-being of residents.
And as we have severally stated, the curfew is not going to last a day beyond necessary. Consequently, subsequent to the measurable improvements in the security situation in the state, as well as in our neighboring states, we have decided to lift the existing curfew on the entire state from tomorrow, 7th July 2021. While we thank you for your understanding and cooperation during this trying period, we must all remain security conscious and report any suspicious situation to the security agencies for action.
A gunman who abducted some students of the Bethel Baptist High School, Damishi, are demanding foodstuff from the school management. The total number of students being held by bandits has increased to 348, with the latest abduction of 121 students in Kaduna State. It was learnt that the hoodlums asked for food items such as rice, beans, seasoning, and oil to feed the students. Still ahead on the news this afternoon, coalition of northern groups react to issues raised by Southern Governors Forum. To stay tuned.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. The coalition of northern groups have responded to the issues raised by Southern Governors Forum during their meeting in Lagos. The coalition accused the Southern Governors of shielding criminals in their midst. The spokesperson for CNG, Abdulaziz Suleiman, in a statement said there had been a gang-up against the North in particular to force a regional shift of the presidency in 2023 by any means necessary. Now, the Northeast Governors Forum have asked the federal government to extend all exploration to the Chad Basin. At meeting in Jalingo, the governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku, called on all governors in the Northeast to ensure they work together to draw national attention to the issues facing the region.
What government had done is definitely in the larger interest of the Nigerian society. Basically because if you take the tweet that Twitter said violates their code and put it in context, what is abusive about that tweet? Twitter, if it had done its homework, would have seen that there was actually nothing harmful from what this president has said. So I feel government is right, government is in order. First and foremost, the country has to exist. We must have to have a country first before we will have a Twitter. We must have to have a country that is peaceful and secure before we have a
I do apologize for that mix-up. Governor Ishaka called on the federal government to explore the mineral and oil resources in the northern parts of the country. Meanwhile, the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, says a ban on open grazing will not work until the various governments take a holistic approach towards solving the problem. The governor said this during a television interview this morning.
Addressing the socio-political and economic dimension of this crisis is also very important. Addressing the issues of farmers' herders is also very important. Ensure that enabling environment has been created to the herders is very important. This issue of stopping open grazing and others will not work unless if we sit down and address all these issues squarely.
Reacting to the insecurity plague in different parts of the country, Governor Zulum had this to say.
The Nigerian army of last 30 years, of last 40 years, is better than the Nigerian army of nowadays. It's sad. It's very sad. We're supposed to have gone far in terms of development. But you look at the equipment that we have in the last 40 years are still in existence. Yes, Mr. President has procured some equipment. The equipments are coming. But when will they arrive? That's a serious thing that they should look into it. Because we need to address this issue immediately. Otherwise, the issue will consume the greater part of the nation. You can't address the issue of insecurity in Borno State without interfacing with the government of Niger, with the government of Cameroon, as well as the government of Chad. They are very important.
Governor Zulum, who is also the chairman of the Northeast Governors Forum, questioned why it is taking the Nigerian military a long time to end the insurgency in the Northeast.
And many people are benefiting from this crisis, whether we like it or not. We have some people within the political class, within the Nigerian army, as well as within the government, that don't want to see the end of this crisis. This is a fact. If not, how can we fight a war in the Northeast for the last 11 years? Nigeria has all what it takes to end this insurgency. But you have to get all things right. Look at our budget in 2019 or 2020, the budget, the defense budget. 90% of the budget goes into recurrent expenditures. And then on the issue of the acquiring equipment, right type of equipment sometimes are not procured.
So business news. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says refined petroleum products will be exported from Nigeria to other countries in the next 2 years. This came as the Vice President, Yemi Osibajo, said the presidency will give timely consideration to the petroleum industry bill that was recently passed by the National Assembly. Nigeria currently imports refined petroleum products such as petrol, kerosene and diesel. In entertainment, some friends and fans of embattled actor Baba Ijesha have created a GoFundMe account to cover his legal fees. Baba Ijesha has been charged with indecent treatment of a child, defilement of a child, sexual assault by penetration, attempted sexual assault by penetration, and sexual assault. The fundraiser, organized by Oladile Mati, who resides in Dublin, Ireland, has so far raised only €20. In sports, Italy beat Spain on penalties to reach the Euro 2020 final after an enthralling semi-final at a noisy Wembley. After Alvaro Morata's penalty was saved, Jorginho strolled up to score and set up a final with either England or Denmark in London on Sunday. Roberto Mancini's Italy have been arguably the best team in the tournament and had won their previous 13 games. However, this was the toughest they had to work.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
New York has become the first U.S. state to declare a disaster emergency order to address rising gun violence. New York State saw 51 shootings over the 4th July holiday weekend. Governor Andrew Cuomo said the directive will channel $138.7 million towards gun violence intervention and prevention programs. It comes amidst reports of a rise in gun deaths countrywide, including nearly 200 over the past weekend. And that just about does it here on the news. Before we go, here's a quick look at the major stories. Earlier on, we told you the murder trial of the 4 dismissed ECRAC police officers accused of killing Chima Kunado has been adjourned to July 23. A suspected serial rapist is to be arraigned in Port Harcourt today. You heard Port Harcourt residents have been reacting as a 2-month-old curfew ends today. Coalition of northern groups reacted to the issues raised by Southern Governors Forum. And from the foreign scene, we brought you a report that New York has become the first U.S. state to declare disaster emergency order to address rising gun violence. The news was edited by Choma Ezenwafo. The contact our newsroom on 0818-900-0017 for eyewitness reports and breaking news stories. Cloudy weather is expected in Port Harcourt this afternoon. I am Carl Orakwue. Goodbye.